Today we're going to take a look at Doom Tower level 120 hard boss Dark Fae and my team that is 100% usable in this composition. So without further ado, let's get up on into it. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am your boy JKG Brandon. We are playing some Raid Shadow Legends today. Today we're going to take a look at my team composition for the 120 level on hard Doom Tower Dark Fae. We're not going to do a full deep dive into the actual Dark Fae mechanics itself. This is just going to be focused on my team, which is 100% usable, and it does not take a ton of gear resources considering it is a 120 hard level Doom Tower boss fight. So that is kind of the caveat. It's going to be heavily gear dependent, but it's not heavily gear dependent as far as being what it is, as far as the content level that it is, if that makes sense for you guys. Before we get into the team composition and all the stats and all the nitty gritty, I do want to say real quick, thank you for all of the love on the channel. We're up to 250 subs on this brand new channel. And I really do appreciate everybody that's coming through, liking, commenting, subscribing, giving champion suggestions in the comments below. If you want to see a spotlight or a team or anything like that, by all means, leave it in the comments below and I'll try to get to it. What I do want to say real quick though, if you want to support this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are trying to actually move forward from 250 to 300 subs by the time I leave for TwitchCon, which is going to be October 18th or 19th. So let's just say October 20th. Let's try to hit 300 subs on the channel by the time we're there. I'm going to be hanging out with a lot of your favorite raid content creators, Deadwood Jedi, Chosen. I believe Veilshot's going to be there. I believe possibly maybe Layla, Ash, and a bunch of the UK contingent are, I believe, going to be coming. So I'm going to try to get a lot of behind the scenes stuff if they're comfortable with that. If not, I'll try to post as much content as I can because this is going to be my first chance to go to TwitchCon. So I'm going to be a little bit pumped and we're going to try to get a little bit of behind the scenes content, maybe some shorts and things like that. So going to try to make it fun. But again, if you want to support me and the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free. And without further ado, let's get up on into it. So Dark Fae is one of the ones that we are actually going to be farming. The reason we're going to be farming Dark Fae is because we want lethal materials for our gear. The reason why we want lethal materials is because it's basically Savage set, but plus crit rate, which is just going to make crit capping our champions and letting our damage dealers be built a little bit heavier. So you can kind of see right here, crit rate 10% plus ignores 25% of the defense on the enemy. And if we scroll up here to our Savage sets, you can see we just have a blanket, ignores 25% of the defense. So it's literally just Savage plus we're getting a little bit of extra crit rate. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and go over the champions here for us. And then we'll kind of go into the team composition as far as like preset, which makes this a fully automated team. Royal Huntsman will just start right here. He is going to be our damage dealing champion because he has an AoE that hits really hard. Once we get to wave 3 on the boss, we are going to want an AoE hit so we can actually kill our own team, our shadow clones on the other side. Slaughter Volley does that by a mile. He will actually hit really hard with this, way harder than it needs to be to make this team work. But yeah, he's going to hit really hard. He's going to place a decreased defense as well, which is just kind of bonus because that's going to go on the boss. And then once we are, killing our shadow clones and we're into the boss fight itself, he has dead aim, which is going to hit for, 250,000, roughly like 220 to 250,000 range as I have him currently geared. As far as masteries on him, it's pretty standard, damage dealing masteries. Took him down to get retribution so we can have counterattack should anybody take a turn. That's going to come into play more with the waves than anything. And then flawless execution just to get that additional crit damage. And as far as stats go, I do have him crit capped at 101% crit rate, 5,400 on attack, and 300% crit damage. He doesn't need accuracy. We're not relying on his decreased defense, so we don't necessarily have to run his accuracy here. As far as our other champions, one of the mandatory champions, in my opinion, is Lissandra, because of her skill right here. Energize. Once we get to the boss, we do want this to go first because we are going to decrease the turn meter of all of our shadow clones. So we're going to go first and we're going to stay going first. We're also going to fill our turn meter as well. So it's a double-edged sword. Lissandra is a really awesome champion for this. Plus we also get an increased speed on ourselves. So we're just going to be a little bit faster all the way through. And then after that, we are going to prioritize exhaustion because it is just going to fully deplete the target's turn meter, which is going to come into massive effect for us. Her A1 is nice. It does transfer any debuffs to the target. I don't think when we get to the Dark Fae, we're going to even have any debuffs on us to transfer, but if we were, we could be transferring them. She is pretty much a mandatory champion. And then as far as masteries go, again, just retribution on the defense tree, took her down the offense tree for Eagle Eye to get additional accuracy. And I did that because she's actually currently built specifically for my Iron Twins team because I use her there. So she's actually over-tuned for this particular build. You do not have to have these particular stats, but just kind of as we go, 260 speed is kind of the 250 to 260 is kind of the sweet spot for Lissandra. And then I have her at 437 on accuracy. You definitely don't have to have 437 accuracy for this build. You could be in that kind of 300 to 350 range is going to be a nice spot for you. So you can actually get away with that very easily. And then next up, we are going to have the other mandatory champion for this, and this is a duplicate champion. We're actually going to be using 2 copies of this champion, and that's Allure. I think we all know why Allure is here. Allure is here for her A1 Psychic Whip, which is going to attack 3 times at random. Once all of our shadow clones are dead, it's going to all hit the boss, which is going to be so good because we're gonna decrease the target's turn meter by 25% for each critical hit. Masteries wise, we are just taking her down to get Giant Slayer, and that's pretty much it, other than trying to get some of the baked in accuracy on the support tree. And then as far as the actual stats on her, you can see I have 1 fast and 1 slow, but both are right around the same as far as the accuracy. Both are crit capped at 100% and 110%. She's given that extra 110% here. Attack, defense, not really necessary in this because we want to get 270 speed. 265 and above on one of them would be kind of where I recommend that, and then around 350 you can see I have 376 on this one as far as accuracy, along with that 100% crit rate. So mandatory, you have to have a 100% crit rate. If you don't have the 100% crit rate, this is not going to even work, or not even get close to working. So 100% crit rate is your first priority. Accuracy is the second priority. You definitely want to hit that 300, that 350 accuracy because you want this to actually land. And then after that is your speed. That's kind of the hierarchy of the stats for Allure, and you can see everything is basically the same on the other one, other than this one's slower. So 237 on the speed, 101% on the crit rate, and 367 on the accuracy. So we're right in that range with both of them. Masteries are pretty much exactly the same on both of them. And then last but not least, we are going to have our good friend Tomb Lord. And Tomb Lord, we'll just start with the masteries because that's where it left us off. We're going to come down and we're going to take War Master because War Master procs are awesome against bosses, and we're going to bake in as much accuracy as we can on the other side on the support tree. As far as skills, the big skill that we're going to be using in against the boss is actually going to be his A3, which is going to decrease the turn meter of all enemies with less than 50% HP. So once the HP gets lower, he's going to start assisting with the turn meter, and it's just going to make it easier once we get to under 50%. He gives us a decreased attack and a decreased defense. The decreased defense is actually going to be really good for helping make it a little bit quicker. And then also Death Burst is going to be really cool. For the waves, we're going to be able to get some poison damage, maybe if we can. A1 is going to be, hitting 3 times, putting a decreased speed. The decreased speed is actually really clutch on the boss as well, so we can actually get ahead of that boss turn meter when it's critical. And then as far as the stats, go. He is also overtuned for this particular build, for this particular comp, I should say, because he is actually part of my Fire Knight 25 team. So he is a little bit overtuned, 320 on the accuracy. He's got some good resistance, 240, 250 resistance. And then we have him at 100% crit rate because we want him crit capped. And then also we are going to have him about 210 speed. I would say anywhere over 200 speed for this particular team would work. For my Fire Knight 25 team, I have like a two speed window. I can be 210 or 211 speed, so I was able to get him to 210 speed for that to make that work. That is the actual stats and everything here. So let's come into the actual Doom Tower itself, and we'll come all the way up to hard mode Doom Tower. And let me go ahead and move myself over so you can see we are on the hard mode Doom Tower. So let's go ahead and take a look. That was the wrong window. There we go. And let's go ahead and take a look at the preset here for us. And the preset is pretty simple, really. Lissandra's going to be in the lead, so we can use her aura. She's going to give us that 24 speed in all battles. As far as wave 1, let it run on default. Wave 2, we're going to lock out exhaustion and energize because we want energize to be the opener and we want exhaustion to be the priority from there. Allure, same thing on wave 1, just let it run on default. Wave 2, we're going to lock out temptation on one of them. And wave 3, we're going to open with temptation and lock out temptation and hellish blaze. We just want to get that potential little decreased defense but debuff out there because that is going to be an AoE hit here. It's going to put the baby decreased defense out, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing. Default wave 1, open with temptation on wave 2 just to try to get that decreased defense out there. We want to have at least one of them available, and then on round 3, we're going to also put her to open with temptation just in case it's off of cooldown, and then also lock everything out so we can just spam the A1. Tomb Lord. Tomb Lord, we're going to lock out Blight on waves 1 and 2 because we want to start with that, and then after that it's all default. He has pretty good AI, so you don't have to worry about it too much. And then on Royal Huntsman, we're going to let it run default on wave 1, lock out Slaughter Volley, which is the big AoE hit on wave 2 because we want it to be available on wave 3 to open with, and that's it. It's pretty much auto from there. So we'll kind of come in here and we'll let it run. We will lose a little bit of time. This is not a speed run team. It's going to take about 5 minutes, give or take a few seconds, but we're really just kind of running this through so we can have all of our, we're sacrificing a little bit of time on wave 2 just so we can have all of our skills off of cooldown ready to go to start wave 3 with the boss. But you can kind of see right here, not a whole lot of damage. I mean, we have some champions that if we were to get hit by that and if we blood tune, we would be in trouble. This wave with the 2 allures can be a little tricky if they do get some turns, because allure is magic affinity and all of these champions here are force affinity. So we're really kind of sketching here. If we do, let them take some turns, we can be in a little bit of trouble, but our champions are pretty good. As far as substitutions here, Tomb Lord is a really easy one. You can bring in somebody like a Lydia if you have Lydia, defense down champion. If you have a Venus, something like that. You really just kind of want somebody that's going to be able to give you a decreased defense and then also a decreased speed. So if you have somebody that does that, that's awesome. You can kind of mix and match with your damage dealer, because I know some damage dealers do have some debuffs and, decreased speed and stuff like that. By all means, you can absolutely bring somebody like that in. And then also another substitution base here is our Royal Huntsman. Really, if you have a Royal Huntsman, I love his kit for this because you have the really big A3 and you have the AoE that both hit really hard. And you can kind of see the A1 is going to give us right there. We had about 17,000 on the A1. Somebody like a Trunda would be really good here, because, you know, Trunda does a ton of damage. It's not max HP damage, which is going to be capped. So you're actually going to have a really good chance, but you can kind of see right there about 237,000 on that A3. Big chunk of the HP bar is gone just from that one. And you can kind of see right here, we're just in turn meter mode. We're just spamming A1s and spamming turn meter from all of our champions. 4 of our champions have turn meter reduction in them, which is really good for this. And we're basically just letting Royal Huntsman do all the damage here. Trunda would be really good. Somebody like, say, a Saito, I think would be really good here. Even going into rares, you could use somebody like a Marquez, which is a defense-based nuker. Might be a little bit tricky just because a defense or an HP-based nuker like a Marquez or a Magnar, they're gonna hit really hard. However, they're gonna be naturally much tankier, so that is a little bit of a tricky one. But you could run somebody like a Dune Strider or somebody like that that has a really big AoE hit. As long as they have an AoE hit, you're gonna be fine. It'll be a little bit longer if that's all they have is an AoE hit, that one big AoE hit, and then everything else is just kind of iffy. But you don't want just, you know, single target damage dealers like a Septimus or somebody like that would not be ideal here, because a Septimus only has single target damage, and it's not going to be ideal for that wave where we have to take down our shadow clones right away. So somebody with an AoE and then a big single target right after that is going to be really ideal for this. Somebody like an Leorius the Proud, on first thought, would be nice because he hits really hard. However, he does put that unkillable on himself, so it's going to make it to where he's going to be, the shadow self is going to be unkillable, and then with basically 0 HP, which is just going to make him hit like an absolute tank. So he's not ideal. I'm sure you could probably get away with it if you build in some block buffs or something like that. However, this team, I've been running this team for over a year. My clanmates are running this team as well with different damage dealers. I've even ran it with Michinaki in the normal Doom Tower version of this. I've ran Michinaki in there, so I'd be interested to see if he could actually do it on hard mode, but I figured I'd give you guys the 100% version, which we're seeing right here. And that is pretty much done and dusted. You can see we're coming up right about on 5 minutes here. It's roughly a 5-minute team. We're not going to be breaking any speed records or anything like that, but it is very consistent, which is what we want for a farming team. And you can kind of see we're just, you know, one hit away, basically. One nice big hit away there. Thank you, Tomb Lord. And here you can see 4 minutes 59 seconds. My best time is 4 minutes 54 seconds. So you can see very consistent as far as the time goes. And then yeah, that's pretty much the team. You can sub in, like I said, anybody with, you know, a decreased speed is going to be great. Decreased speed and maybe like a defense break is going to be really good to sub in for Tomb Lord. And then anybody with a big AoE and possibly a big single target like a Royal Huntsman would be really nice here for your damage dealer. And then outside of that, Allure, double Allure, I think is the best way to go with Lissandra. I think if you had like double Lissandra with one Allure, I think you could still make this happen with like a double Lissandra or another champion that does the, maybe like an Archmage helmet where you're getting that, you know, that turn meter boost and the turn meter reduction at the same time. Something like that could also, Deacon Armstrong, I believe, is the one I'm thinking of that does that. But somebody that does, you know, turn meter fill plus depletion at the same time is going to be, you know, key there for a possible sub for Lissandra, or, you know, to go along if you have one Lissandra and one Allure and you need another turn meter, you know, person, somebody like a Deacon Armstrong or, you know, somebody else that's going to do that is going to be a good sub to at least give a shot. The preset that I run can be tweaked to try to get through wave 2 a little bit quicker if you want to. However, I like to use this as a baseline just because is it is rock solid and consistent. And that's pretty much going to wrap up this video here for you guys. If you guys want to check out a showcase on Tomb Lord or Royal Huntsman, go ahead and hit those. I'm going to have those on the links at the end of the screen here, and go ahead and check those out. And remember, if you like this video, hit a like button for me and hit that subscribe button if you want to help us get to 300 subs by the time I go to TwitchCon. And I will see you in the next video. Love you guys. Peace.